It is Election Day 2024. And as we all head to the polls, well, some of us have already voted, such as myself, have already voted a week or so ago. Some of you, a lot of you have done the same. But as we step into this election day, and before the results are read this evening, I wanted to put a little note out for you. And this just to discuss the fact that most Americans agree on the policies and laws that need to either be changed or should stay the same in this country. Most of us agree. I can't stand more than anything when people use the word Republican or Democrat or conservative or to the left or whatever. It's divisive. And number one, I guess, above all, and I have a list that I'm going to go over towards the end, so stay to the end, but I have a list of some items that I look for in a president, and maybe you can guess who it is. But again, I got this list down for the top 50 down to 29 items that most Americans can agree on. So let me step through this really quick. It shouldn't take 2 or 3 minutes. Number one, and I won't number them because I'm going to forget the numbers, but teachers should get more pay. Between school shootings, the COVID-19 pandemic, LGBTQ plus policies and controversies over race-based content taught in schools, U.S. teachers have been through a lot recently. And also, they're chronically underpaid. Most Americans are in favor of paying them more. In fact, 73% of them thinks that teachers should be paid more. Okay, this is on my list too. You can't pay a teacher. Teachers do way more than just teach. Nowadays, they're like a guardian. They're like a father and mother. I mean, they're a supervisor, they're parole officer. I mean, they do so much right now, and they get attacked for certain things. I mean, pay these people. I should not get paid more than a teacher. I'm going to put that out there. Next up, there should be policies preventing landlords from increasing rent. A pandemic-era policy of 2020 prevented landlords from evicting tenants. After that policy expired, rent for many skyrocketed. Most Americans, 61%, either strongly or somewhat support policies that would prevent landlords from raising rent. This is at the top of my list. I have, again, a list. I don't know. I have maybe 20 items. That's definitely on there, and that's towards the top as well for me. Next up, spending on public housing should increase. With rent and mortgages increasing, along with homelessness, more people are turning to public housing, which is provided and paid for by the government. Believe it or not, 60% of all Americans support increasing spending on public housing. Okay, since you know that we are broken and split down the middle, and it's just been so divided over the past 6-8 years, you need to know that we have come together on this issue right here, more than 60%. So that means Republicans and Democrats. Again, I hate using those two words, but that means both sides since we've been divided. And just right quick, too, when you go through the grocery store and you walk down a cereal aisle and you think you have all these choices and you go, wow, Fruity Pebbles, wow, Skittles, all these different brands of cereals, but they're all one company, General Mills. It's the same. Anytime someone gives me only 2 choices, I think something fishy is going on. I hate the Coke or Pepsi. Pick one. And everything that goes along with it. So, next up, the government should offer medical debt forgiveness. Americans remain divided on the latest push from the Biden administration to forgive student loan debt, but they like another kind of debt forgiveness, and that's for medical debt. In fact, 67% of people support the government offering medical debt forgiveness, which makes it more supportive than many of the other kinds of debt. I'm all for it. Of course, what's more important than your health? And that's on my list above all. That's at the top of my list anyway, medical. Why is healthcare not a right? What? You got all these other choices, but you don't have medical care. Your life depends on your medical care. Some people have medical care, don't even go. But anyway, I digress. Next up, inflation is serious. Everything seems to cost more than it used to these days. Nobody likes paying more for things, especially when Americans say their pay isn't keeping up with inflation. It's no wonder that 88% of Americans believe that inflation is a huge issue where they live. So which candidate is focusing on these things for you? Okay, next up, social welfare programs are fine. Social welfare programs are often demonized by the GOP politicians, but the majority of Americans overwhelmingly support these programs. When broken down by government benefit programs, 79% of Americans have favorable views of Social Security, 79% have favorable views of Medicare, 77% have favorable views of disability insurance, 76% have favorable views of Medicaid, 74% have favorable views of SNAP, that's the food stamps, 71% have favorable views of temporary assistance for needy families, 71% have favorable views of unemployment insurance, and 67% have favorable views of public housing assistance. So there you go. I mean, these are by the numbers. Abortion should be legal in most cases. On June 24th, 2022, the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, which it had legalized abortion federally. Since then, many states have outlawed or restricted abortion. But most Americans disagree with the court. According to this poll, 64% believe abortion should be still legal in most or all cases, and 59% believe that Roe versus Wade should not have been overturned. Okay. The next one is yes for the Presidential Records Act. The Presidential Records Act, which say presidential records must go to the National Archives after a president leaves office, has certainly been in the news. Former President Donald Trump is in a legal battle with the Department of Justice over that very issue. Of those surveyed, 69% support the Presidential Records Act. Anything over 50, remember, you got to have both sides that support it. Okay, next up, illegal immigration is a problem. A solid 61% believe that illegal immigration is a problem in the United States. Furthermore, 59% of Americans see the situation at the border as a crisis. Agreed. Okay, PAC donors expect payback. That's right, they're giving us money for something. Many campaign donations go to super PACs, wealthy political action committees that advertise on behalf of a candidate. Most Americans are suspicious of this, and 79% of them believe that the only reason someone would donate $1 million to a super PAC is because they want something in return. It's logical. I'm a logical person. Is that not logical to you? It doesn't matter whether you're left or right or Republican, Democrat. Can we just not use those words anymore? It's so frustrating. Next up, favorable views of law enforcement and the military. Americans, by large majority, have a favorable view of law enforcement and the United States military. Broken down by entity, 68% have favorable views of local police, 65% have favorable views of state police, 62% have favorable views of county sheriffs, and 60% have favorable views of the U.S. Border Patrol. For the military, favorability ratings are even higher at 77% and have good opinions of the Navy, Coast Guard, the Army, Air Force, while 78% have favorable opinions of the Marines. So the Marines get that extra point, that extra nod. So there you go. The numbers are out there. Okay, we all support that. When my house or when somebody's house catches on fire, who do you call? That's right. When you're getting robbed or whatever on the street, who do you call? I mean, you have to support it. Okay, next up, people don't want a civil war. And this is what I'm stressed out most for this time of year, for this election, is normalcy. Just a regular pass the torch to the next figurehead. Remember, Congress and senators are the ones that make these laws, or at least say they're making laws. Some people have aired fears of a second U.S. Civil War, but that doesn't mean that people think it's a good thing. When people are asked if a civil war in the next 10 years would be a good or bad idea, 69% believe it will be bad. For a civil war in the next 50 years, 66% still say it will be a bad thing. Okay. Next up, the president should never lie. The president should never lie. First of all, they're all going to lie. Most will at least slant the lie with their point of view. They'll slant it towards their opinion. But a lie, oh, I got 100,000 here. Yeah, 100, maybe 200,000. I mean, when you say stuff like, when you lie, you don't have credibility, and integrity is important. What's the most important presidential quality for the vast majority of Americans? 89%. It's honesty, followed by the fighting for what's right at 88%. And I wholeheartedly believe in that. Do the right thing make the right decisions. Think of this as if it is an entire country. I'm not going to cut this, so I apologize for the mistakes. Increasingly, when those responses are divided between Republicans and Democrats, the results about the same either way. Those attributes are important to all of us despite any political differences. So there you go. So I don't get how it's close. I'm just so in shock that it's even close. And I'm not a big fan one way or the other, but I just want normal. I want to get ripped off like normal, like I have my entire life. I don't want the Capitol to get overrun again. I don't want any trickery. I don't want other countries involved in our government. I don't want other countries involved in our government to lean towards one political person or not. Next up, it should be legal to record the police. A whopping 86% of people think that recording cops on the job should be legal, while 32% of the survey participants think that there should be a legal limit on how close you can be to an officer. 50% believe it should be legal in all cases. Okay. Well, you can't say all cases because you can't get up in the middle of it and, come on. But it should be legal. I didn't know it wasn't legal. The founding fathers would be disappointed at what they're seeing now. Would they? Would the founding fathers approve of how things are going in the United States today? Well, 65% of Americans don't think so, though there's likely a wide variety of reasons why. The same survey asked about the Bill of Rights and found that 86% of the Americans believe that the First Amendment is very important, and 57% consider it the most important amendment. Okay, next up, Russia is our enemy. We've never formally been at war with Russia, but we have a tense relationship dating back to the formation of the Soviet Union. As of September 19, 2022, 85.3% of Americans believe that Russia is an enemy of the U.S. These numbers have risen since Russia declared war on Ukraine under President Putin. And of course, they have been involved in our election, which is a no-no. This one, I don't know how it made the list, but I kept it on here because I live in Texas. Texas has the best barbecue. Most Americans agree that they think of Texas when they think of good barbecue. Texas is known for brisket and smoked sausages in particular. The Lone Star State outranked Tennessee, Louisiana, Kansas, and South Carolina for the top state. And it's not even close. 73% think of Texas for the best barbecue meats, while in second place, winner Tennessee is only at 37% for the same question. I don't know how it made the list, but it made sense to me. Until you had a smoked turkey on Thanksgiving, let me tell you something. I never ate turkey. Hated Thanksgiving. I'm still not a fan of holidays and all that crap. Telling me when I need to celebrate or when I need to eat, when I need to eat turkey. I never liked turkey. It's always dry. But until you had one here, it's been fried or smoked. Believe it. Okay, next up. The president should unite the country. The United States may feel divided, but maybe we don't want to be. In a survey about important presidential qualities, 87% feel that a president's ability to unite the country is extremely important. Of those polled, 67% believe that it is very important. And this is in my top 5. Honesty and being able to unite. Cross from one side to the other. Stop using those divisive words and you're this, you're that, you're thinking this, and you're all that. I'm doing this list because I want everybody to know that most of us agree. We agree on the topics that matter. Stop getting bogged down in the little BS stuff that they try to divide us into. Okay, you need to worry about some man coming in your bathroom and he dressed like a woman, and it's insane when most of us agree. I don't like either side. I don't trust either side. Last time I voted for Jill Stein, I voted Green Party. So don't put me in one hole whether I'm one side or not, because I don't like either side. And personally, I think if you make it to be president, you got a little corruption in your back pocket somewhere. You got some dirt on somebody. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. Okay, next up, violent crime is an issue. Fear of violent crime is a serious issue for 60% of Americans, while 19% believe that it is a somewhat serious issue. Sadly, they may be into something. Homicides in many cities rose in 2021. Okay. Racism is a real problem. Trust me, it's a daily problem for some of us. Of Americans surveyed, 68% believe that racism is at least somewhat of a problem. Meanwhile, 59% believe that race relations are bad at the moment. So this is, remember, anything over 50%, and this is 68%. I mean, so there's Democrats and Republicans. There's left and there's right. There's both sides. So let's stop being divisive. Somebody's going to comment some stupid comments, and they're going to be on one side versus another. And it doesn't matter. I don't care. It doesn't matter if you pick this versus that. Trust me, we all have opinions, but somebody's going to come up with some bogus crap, and I see it coming. Just rest assured, I won't comment. And if it's rude or something or over the top, especially towards women or kids, I'll just delete it and you from the channel. Okay. Most people are patriotic. Whenever there's a heated tension in the political debates, folks may accuse the opposition of hating America, but that's not true. In fact, a whopping 76% of Americans consider themselves at least somewhat patriotic. Okay. Let's see. Next up. Limits should be set on rent increases. How much is too much in rent? In some cities, a studio apartment costs $2,000 or more a month. A huge majority of Americans, 79%, support setting limits on the size of rent increases. And this is in my top 5 also. Okay. Contraceptives should be legal nationwide. Again, this list is on what we agree on. Ever since Roe versus Wade. Now, you may disagree with some of this. You're going to be in that negative area. You're not with most Americans, because if your thoughts are against what's in this list, then you're going against what the masses and most Americans want. Okay, again, contraceptives should be legal nationwide. Ever since Roe versus Wade was overturned, some have worried that access to birth control might be next. Some politicians want to pass a law that formally protects access to contraception through the U.S., and 64% of Americans would support that. 21% aren't sure, and only 15% are against it. Okay. Next up, U.S. representatives should compromise and be bipartisan. Again, top 5. Americans seem firmly rooted in the Democratic or Republican camps. So do we expect our representatives to hold firm to their values, toe the party line? No. Most of us want representatives to compromise with the other party and be bipartisan. In fact, 60% want their representatives to compromise more. Okay, I'm not going to get everything I want on this list. Can I get some? Let's negotiate. Okay, next up. China is our enemy. Tensions with China have risen, especially in the past 3 years. As of September 19, 2022, 79.9% of Americans considered China to be an enemy. In December 2017, only 43.5% believed that. And this is obviously after COVID. Americans have grown distrustful of President Xi Jinping since it's related to the COVID-19 outbreaks, a friendship with Russia, and treatment of Taiwan also. Okay. Next one up. Americans under 65 should be screened for anxiety. I'm under 65, just barely, but I'm anxious. I'm anxious for this election to go through. I just want some sense of normalcy. I don't want my president, making fun of disabled people. I don't want him making up names for other people. I don't want him rambling. I want somebody intelligent, articulate, and able to lead and step across party lines. That's what I want. But again, Americans under 65 should be screened for anxiety. The U.S. Preventative Service Task Force recommended in September 2022 that all adults under 65 be screened for anxiety and depression. They didn't find sufficient evidence that it would be effective for people over 65. Americans, by and large, agree. In fact, 63% somewhat agree or strongly agree with these screenings, that these screenings should take place. Okay. Next up, a lack of childcare is a problem for working moms. If childcare access and affordability feel a lot harder for you these days, you're not alone. This is to women. Americans agree that the lack of childcare often prevents mothers working outside the home when they want to. Okay. Next up, drug abuse is a serious issue. America has been ravaged by an opioid epidemic, and it affects every state. So it's no wonder that many of us consider it a major problem in our communities. Of those surveyed, 73% believe it's a serious problem. Remember, this is the list of what we agree on. Okay, and the last one here, the country has grown more partisan, unfortunately, for the past probably 8 years. The last decade, I said 8 years, the last decade has seen political divides in America grow more tense, and 71% of Americans believe the country is more divided and more partisan than ever over the past few years. But if these results prove anything, that might just be an illusion. We may be less divided than we think. I think we are less divided, but because of certain people in the media, we watch this stuff over and over again. I watch left-leaning news, but I recognize it's still propaganda. Sometimes I go, man, I'm 3 minutes in and they go, this side, that side. I don't care. I don't agree with everything. And I don't want to be told that I need to think a certain way. And I hope you don't either. I hope you think for yourself like I do and understand what propaganda is. I mean, anytime you see one channel, it's just all good, all good, all good for this. Oh, just never do anything. And when he does something wrong, they never talk about it. Propaganda. When one side wants to beef you up, knowing, even if it's Democrat going against the Republicans, it doesn't matter which side. It's all propaganda. The only news source that I know of that's actually straight up legit and straight out there is NPR or what is it, Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman, or even Al Jazeera. Man, it's a shame I got to go to Qatar to get news, especially international news. You probably may not even know there's a genocide going on right now because it's not in the mainstream media. Unless you watch YouTube and you get to listen, you get to watch these videos and you get to hear what the politicians on our side are saying. And they get grilled every day. And they really are lost. They look like fools trying to defend a genocide with our dollars. That's right. Those bombs that are going to Gaza right now are our dollars. They say USA written on the side. And who's making money off of that? I always look to who's making money, but let me get through my list right quick. Okay. Keeping in mind that those that make law are actually the Congress and the Senate. They're supposed to. Anyway, okay, let me get through this real quick. I have one of my top ones, honesty. Someone that tells the truth 100% of the time. We may not like the truth, but tell it to us. Tell it to us. Next up, someone that's a president to all Americans. That's right. Someone that crosses that party line and says, I'm the president for everybody. Not saying we're going to do this, and if we win, we're going to lock up the other side. And it's just wrong. Next up, someone healthy and someone maybe under 65 years old. How about that? There should be an age limit on it. Someone extremely intelligent. Man, I love to hear good speakers speak. And it's a gift. I'm fumbling with words here that I'm reading. Most of it's difficult when I do my other news for Columbia because the words, even when you translate them, it's not comfortable reading. Let's put it that way. But someone that is smart, someone that's intelligent, someone that's just articulate. And that one's a little bit further down. Someone articulate, there you go, and able to explain their point of view. Don't ramble on me, because I can ramble. I want somebody smarter than me. How about that? I won't say that. Okay. Someone that supports our military and vets, and hopefully someone that's been in the military. As a matter of fact, I don't think you should be allowed to be president if you've never been in the military. And I don't care what you did. Whatever your MOS was, it doesn't matter. You worked in the kitchen. You did motor T. You flew jets. I don't care what you did, but you served. So you understand the military. And I don't think any president, I think that should be a requirement. So, but that's just me. And it is what it is. Someone that builds a consensus and they work with both sides. Someone that believes healthcare is a right. Someone that believes healthcare is a right. Okay. And that's definitely in my top 5, but one of my top 2 or 3. Someone that wants to help the homeless, someone that will tackle that. I don't know what the answer is, but someone that will at least put forth some initiative, get a task force, get an organization and have them create some sort of solutions and ask the homeless what they need. Someone that supports congressional or Senate term limits. That's right. Nothing's going to change until we limit. What has these guys been in office for 40 years? Come on. They don't even know how to drive a car, let alone ring up food at a grocery store. They wouldn't know how to work a self-service kiosk. Come on. And they're supposedly making law, but they're spending most of their time on these little hearings, and it's bogus. They're not working. But they're determining whether or not they have term limits. Come on. For real. Okay, someone that supports D.C. being a state. For those who don't know, I'm from Washington, D.C. And for those who don't know, there are no senators or congressmen in Washington, D.C. And we have more delegates than I think 2 or 3 other states, Delaware and something else. But we have taxation without representation. How can this be? We have a shadow delegate, Eleanor Holmes Norton, who can get up and she can speak to Congress and go, well, we think this and this and that. And they go, well, thank you, Ms. Norton. Have a seat. Next. And she has no voting right. Okay, so I want D.C. to become a state. Someone that will stop and repeal tariffs. Okay, for those who don't get this China tariff, I'm going to charge China 10% or 20% across the board. Well, they don't pay it. China doesn't pay it. For those who believe this garbage that you're told, China's not paying it. Any other country's not paying it. The companies, my company, your company possibly has to pay it at the border. The government will hold their equipment or parts hostage at the border. This is a fact. We'll hold it at the border until you pay that tariff. So if it's 10% and you bought $1 million, you have to pay $1,100,000. Okay, so who's going to pay for that? That company can't take that burden on. 10% loss, they're going to pass it on to you. So it's a tax. It's a hidden tax. And so, yes, one president started this garbage, but another president who's in office right now is still keeping it going. Why is that? They got used to that extra funds. But that's coming from businesses in the United States. Putting it straight out there. Okay, someone that supports a 2-state solution for Israel and Palestine. Man, I've been watching this, and I did a video, Watch the Media, because I saw when they ramped it up last October 7th, after Israel got bombed, 1,000 people were killed, or 1,200 people, whatever it was. The number got adjusted. First it was 1,800, and then it came down to 1,100, which any loss of life is terrible. But they've killed over 30-something thousand Palestinians in the past year. They're starving them. They're not giving support. They're bombing the hospitals. They're bombing the media. I mean, this is our dollars are being paid to Israel too for this. So anyway, someone that will come up with a 2-state solution for them too. Someone that will stop the current genocide in Gaza. Every day, our representatives get up and smoke and blow smoke. Numerous American government officials have left the office, have resigned in protest, saying that we're not trying to stop Israel from doing what they're doing. These people are starving. Watch Al Jazeera. Let me just put that out there. Someone that supports a woman's choice with her body. Whether I agree or disagree, doesn't matter. Number one, I ain't getting nobody pregnant. I spend my whole life making sure that never happened. And number two, it's not my body. How do I get a say? I mean, it was not my child. I surely don't get a say. Now, if it's your child, maybe you should have a say. Someone that supports teachers' pay increases. That's right. Teachers should get paid more than I do. Someone that won't start an insurrection. Okay, take it how you want. It is what it is. That was traumatic to watch. I don't know how many of them have committed suicide, how many military are stressed out of watching this election stuff that have killed themselves recently. Please be with those Capitol Hill cops. And I know a retired one, I think, was there then. Anyway, someone that will not start an insurrection because they don't like the results of this. Every time another president has just given up. I hated when Kerry just gave up to Bush, but he did. And the torch got passed and we got back to some sense of normalcy. Someone that has integrity, someone that does the right thing, no matter somebody's looking or not. Someone that doesn't F with Social Security. That's definitely in my top 5, probably number 1 or number 2. Someone that creates a policy to prevent rent increases, just like there was on that list. Obviously, that's in my top 5. And just stop all this Democrat versus Republican-ish. If you got a comment, one is better than the other, please don't comment. I mean, you can say what you want, and you have that right. Again, as long as it's not going against children or women, or someone's life, then, I mean, you can say what you want, but stop this divisiveness. If you made it this far, then maybe you're interested in hearing another view. That when anybody gives you two choices, you may not agree with either one of those choices. What do you do in that point? Well, these lists prove that most of us agree more than we disagree. So I hope you take that into the poll with you today. I hope you did take it into the poll with you today. I mean, I've put my 2 cents out. I voted. Please vote. A lot of people died for the right to vote. And a lot of these things happen in my lifetime. So vote. And I pray for this country. I pray for this country. That's all I can do. I will leave it at that. I just pray we come out tomorrow, the next day, 3 days later, still as America, still as Americans. All right. You're up to date with the latest thoughts in my head. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to travel, but travel safe.
In Medellin, feeling mean, sipping cafecito. Parquet hair scene, hottest vibe incognito. Comuna 13, colors bright, mural symphony. Graffiti on city walls, culture rich as history. Watch dcbornrob, stay wise, streetwise TV. Keeping tabs on where to roll, news on lock, believe me. Travel but travel safe, life don't hit replay. Street savvy like a king, no risk we convey. Medellin nights, under city lights. Roll with dcbornrob, he got the sights. Cultures blend, party never ends. Stay sharp, stay true, we got no pretend. Hustle like New York Marine, never get caught slipping. DC, born street smart, worldwide tripping. Latin beats, salsa streets, rhythm always bumping. Parquet airs, hang tight, massive crowd thumping. Travel like a Marine, ain't no fear. Mad respect for local vibes we revere. Colors bold, stories told, art pure magic. Medellin spirit so infectious, never tragic. Medellin